is Brian Baumbush, and I'm here to talk through some of the interactive features of the Polytempo Music VR application. This is an application that I designed and animated, and I also composed all of the music for it. And it showcases something that I think of as sound choreography. And sound choreography is a method that I've developed to move sound around in a three-dimensional way and give you as the listener a sense of where you are with respect to the sound, and also the ability to move around that three-dimensional space in order to change in real time the way that you're hearing the music. So moving is one of the key interactive features of this VR application. But before I show you how to move, I want to show you something useful. If you look at your controllers and you look at the rear of your left controller, you'll notice that there's a little question mark icon. If you pull that trigger, it's going to spawn these text tips that show you what the various buttons on these controllers do. So as you're getting used to the controllers, that's a helpful thing to reference. The main selection mechanism is by pulling this right trigger, and you'll see that that'll illuminate this wand orange whenever you do so. So if you want to click on something, like let's say I want to go home, I will just click on this and it takes me back to the main menu. Now, how do you move around the stage? Well, the app starts up in what I consider to be guided mode, where a moving camera is carrying you around the stage in a curated way. But in doing so, it disables your ability to use your controllers to move around the stage. So how do you get out of the moving camera? Well, the quickest way is to push down on this joystick where you see this orange icon illuminated until you hear it click, and then you will see that that icon is no longer illuminated, meaning that you now have the ability to use the controllers to move yourself around the stage. Now, this right joystick will pan my view of the stage in a 360 way, and the left joystick will help me to move backwards or forwards or right and left. And a third dimension of movement is provided by these inner grip buttons, which gives me the ability to locally move down or move up. And I like to use all of these controllers together in order to move around the stage in a fluid way. Now, the two controllers, I think of the left one as being most representative of giving you playback interactions, and the right one as being the one that aids you in repositioning yourself around the stage. So essentially the movement controller. Now, the main interactive tool on your left controller is opened by pressing this menu on-off button, which spawns a playback menu. On the top of that menu are buttons that allow you to select the different tracks or movements of the piece. In the middle, these buttons allow you to change what instrumentation you're hearing and also to change the levels individually of the instrumentation. And this bottom button gives you global audio controls. I'm going to start by talking about these instrument buttons. So below this long button are these preset instrument group buttons, which allow me to quickly isolate just the wind instruments, or just the percussion instruments, or just the stringed instruments, or to go back to the full ensemble. And if I push this long instruments button, it opens up a more comprehensive mixer, which shows me buttons for all of the 12 instruments, and also gives me a volume slider that I can use to change the volume at will of any of the instruments. I can also deactivate an instrument entirely by clicking on the button away from the slider, and you'll notice that that red LED turns off when I've deactivated it, and I can bring it back in by clicking on that button again. If I wanted to solo an instrument, I can quickly do so by pressing this clear button and then again pressing any one of these individual instrument buttons, and I will have then soloed that instrument. these global audio controls, this bottom one is pretty simple. It's just a master volume, which I can reset to the default level by pressing this reset button. But this upper one is a little bit more interesting. And it controls the audio spatialization, meaning that if I were to set this down to the min level, I'm going to hear the volume coming from all of those instrument speakers at the same level, regardless of how close or far I am to them. But if I move it up to this max level, I'm really only going to hear sound coming from the speakers that I'm closest to. Now, on the right hand, the main interactive tool is this choose camera button, which opens what I think of as the navigation sphere. Now, this is essentially a mini map of the stage. Notice that right in the middle of this mini map is an orange marker that shows these instrument speakers encircling it. And if I look at the stage itself, I can see a life-size version of that marker with the actual instrument speakers around it. I can also see where I am as the listener in comparison to all of the instrument speakers. And I'm represented by this little cute translucent diamond. Notice that as I use my controllers to move myself around the stage, the position of that diamond updates accordingly. These other colored diamonds are buttons that allow me to quickly go to different positions around the stage by selecting them. Now, if you go really far away from the stage and you want to hear the music at a robust level, I would recommend setting this audio spatialization down to the min level. So these are the main interactions that allow you to really go deep into how you might hear the music and hear it in different ways upon repeat listenings.